Want to lose the weight for the last time? Visit myphdweightloss.com. Welcome into Just the Truth. Glad to have you join me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studios. FBI Director Christopher Wray yesterday warned of a wide array of dangerous threats coming from the U.S. border, including drug trafficking, violent gangs, and smugglers with ties to ISIS. Will his boss finally listen to him? The King County, Washington sheriff has directed her deputies to not enforce a City of Burien order, which just recently outlawed homeless encampments within 500 feet of locations like schools and parks until the constitutionality of the order was resolved, without telling city officials, of course, according to local media reports. And Deadspin, a popular sports website, laid off every single staffer after being sold to a new startup firm just months after one of their writers accused a child of racism. And a high school senior in Indiana refused to remove his American flag from the back of his pickup truck after being told by school officials he had to remove it. The story has now gone viral. I'll let you decide how you think this story ends. All that on today's edition of Just the Truth. Hope you'll join the conversation. 864-477-JOEY. 864-477-5639 is the Firmin Ford text line where your comments are welcome, along with your voice messages. Emails welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson Bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson Bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
So let's start with the FBI director, Christopher Wray, issuing warnings of a wide array of dangerous threats. Wray was asked by Senator Marco Rubio at a Senate Intelligence Committee hearing about the threats at the southern border, including from some of the gangs from Venezuela. Wray said he couldn't speak to a specific gang, but said that there were dangerous individuals entering via the southern border. Rubio asked Wray whether smuggling networks that are moving people all over the world could also have ties to ISIS and other terrorist organizations. Rubio asked him to confirm that there's a network that, quote, we're concerned about that has facilitators involved with ties to ISIS. Wray confirmed this. Here's the exchange.
Certainly, we have had dangerous individuals enter the United States of a variety of sorts.
Are we seeing crimes from people that entered the country over the last 3 years, some of them with ties to gangs or other criminal organizations?
Well, I guess what I would say is this. From an FBI perspective, we are seeing a wide array of very dangerous threats that emanate from the border, and that includes everything from the drug trafficking. The FBI alone seized enough fentanyl in the last 2 years to kill 270 million people. That's just on the fentanyl side. An awful lot of the violent crime in the United States is at the hands of gangs who are themselves involved in the distribution of that fentanyl.
But you're also seeing and tracking local law enforcement arresting and for example, the assault on the police officers in New York. All the reporting said they had ties to this gang in particular, but there's no doubt that people that were criminals in their country of origin have crossed that border and are now in the U.S. committing crimes.
Correct.
Is there now a black market emerging to sell? We've seen reports of a black market emerging selling fake Social Security cards, fake green cards. Have you seen reporting on that?
Well, certainly there is on the darknet, for example, there is a significant marketplace for different kinds of stolen identity.
What about in the street?
I think as well. Yeah.
Okay. And there are smuggling networks all over the world that specialize in moving people from all over the world, including from the Middle East, Central Asia, and so forth. Are we aware of any of these smuggling organizations are run by or are conducted by people that have ties, for example, to ISIS or other terrorist organizations?
So I want to be a little bit careful how far I can go in open session, but there is a particular network that has where some of the overseas facilitators of the smuggling network have ISIS ties that we're very concerned about, and that we've been spending an enormous amount of effort with our partners investigating. Exactly what that network is up to is something that's, again, the subject of our current investigation.
But there is a network we're concerned about that has facilitators involved in it that have ties to ISIS and other terrorist organizations.
Correct.
Officials have warned about the presence of gangs, including this Tren de Aragua, which is from supposedly Venezuela. Fox News reported last week about a Customs and Border Protection internal bulletin that told agents to be on the lookout for those coming across the border who may show signs of belonging to the bloodthirsty gang. Fox reported last week that the brother of the suspect in the killing of Georgia student Laken Riley has ties to this very gang. Both the suspect and his brother are from Venezuela. They entered the U.S. illegally. This is, of course, the young man that Joe Biden called illegal in the State of the Union, only to a few days later, after pressure within his own administration and the left, kind of backed up on that and said that he misspoke, that he should have been labeled as an undocumented migrant. There were more than 2.4 million of those undocumented migrants encounters in fiscal year 23. Fiscal year 24 so far has included a month with a record encounters of over 300,000. The border has become a top political issue in this presidential campaign between Joe Biden and Donald Trump in a potential rematch. Republicans have blamed the crisis on the administration, while the administration says it needs more funding, staffing, and immigration reform provided by Congress. They don't want to talk about the fact, though, that in Joe Biden's first day, he, through executive order, undid everything that Donald Trump had accomplished in 4 years. 864-477-JOEY is the Firmin Ford text line. Your comments are welcome, as are your emails. 864-477-5639. Deadspin, a popular sports website, has laid off every single staffer after being sold to a new startup firm just months after one writer was accused of child racism. I'll give you all the details of that story and what a story it is in just a moment. First, let me talk about something. It's a little bit personal, I admit. Your weight. Have you stepped on the scales recently and you're just kind of surprised? Do you have some of that visceral fat around your waist? That's the most deadly. That's the most unhealthy. Actually, just over 3 years ago now. Soon going to be 4 years this summer. I was introduced to Dr. Ashley Lucas and the team at PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition. And boy, am I glad I was introduced and I met this group of people, because I was able to lose 30 pounds in just a short period of time. And over 3 years later, I've been able to maintain that weight. I feel better. I sleep better. My wife would say I'm probably in a better mood. I have more energy. You will too. Let me encourage you to make that phone call today. 864-252-4925. 864-252-4925, or go online at myphdweightloss.com. Set up your initial consultation and see if this is right for you. If you want to lose weight, if you want to get healthy, if you want to see all of those benefits of getting that excess weight off, call today or go online to myphdweightloss.com. PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition, the official partner of the Clemson Tigers. So remember the story. It was written by senior writer Karen Phillips for Deadspin, the sports site. The story allegedly attempted to ruin the life of a 9-year-old Holden Armenta, basically and basically accusing him of racism for wearing a headdress and black and red face paint to cheer on his Kansas City Chiefs. Phillips, this writer, used pictures that only showed the side of the boy's face covered in blackface paint in his November article, accusing the child of wearing blackface and of being racist against Native Americans. Armenta's family later revealed that their son is Native American. His grandfather, Raul Armenta, is a business committee member of the Santa Ynez Band of Chemusha Indians, according to a short bio of the elder Armenta. The article, initially titled, "The NFL Needs to Speak Out Against the Kansas City Chiefs Fan in Blackface Native Headdress," said the child found a way to hate black people and the Native American at the same time. The outlet later updated the story to remove all the photographs and any other identifying information about Armenta and assured readers it was not attacking the fan. The editor's note read, "We regret any suggestions that we were attacking the fan. To that end, our story was updated on December the 7th to remove all photos, tweets, links, or any other identifying information about the fan. We've also revised the headline to better reflect the substance of the story." Armenta's parents sued Deadspin and Geo Media in early February after the outlet failed to retract the story or apologize for maliciously and wantonly attacking their son. The suit described how their son suffered a devastating loss of his innocence of youth and an encumbered love of his favorite sports team as a result of Mr. Phillips' article. They wrote, "Sadly, H.A. will never know a life in which his face and name are not inextricably linked to false accusations of racist conduct. When you Google H.A.'s name, the first result states that he has been accused of racism by a reporter for Deadspin. The second alleges that the article alleged that the Armenta son, H.A., exhibited racist behavior. The third describes what happened to H.A. as a viral hit piece. The suit said that Phillips wrote the article viciously race-baiting Armenta simply to generate clicks. Evidently, Phillips has a long record of making baseless racism allegations against sports leagues. In one piece, he accused fans of the National Basketball League of white supremacy for cheering on black players competing in the G7 following the race-related mass shooting in Buffalo, New York. He also accused Michael Lewis, the author of The Blind Side, of having a slave owner's mentality for writing about a white family who adopted former NFL player Michael Orr. Now, I have an old friend who had a saying. He called it Indian justice. Basically, Indian justice means that if you're not careful with what you do, it's going to come back to bite you. Everything comes around. That's what Indian justice is. Well, it was announced yesterday that Deadspin, this sports website, has laid off every single staffer after it was sold to a new startup firm just months after the writer was accused of racism. Deadspin staffers received an email informing them that the Geo Media, who owned Deadspin until Monday, sold the sports website to the newly formed European startup firm Lineup Publishing after careful consideration. The news release said. According to screenshots of the email that were published by some of the fired employees, Lineup Publishing reportedly decided to get rid of Deadspin's existing staff, leading the company to part ways with all of its current staff. The notice said Deadspin's new owners have made the decision to not carry over any of the site's existing staff and instead build a new team more in line with their editorial vision for the brand. While the new owners plan to be reverential to Deadspin's unique voice, they plan to take a different content approach regarding the site's overall sports coverage. This, unfortunately, means that we will be parting ways with those impacted staff members who were notified earlier today. I would like to thank them for their hard work and efforts that helped make Deadspin stand out in the crowded sports media space. Deadspin senior writer Julie DeCaro said staffers received a half-hour's notice about the sale and have already been locked out of the company laptops and Slack, according to a screenshot posted by Front Office Sports. Again, this might be an example of my friend's Indian justice. Now, I hate to see anyone lose their job, but this guy kind of had it coming to him, didn't he? 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639 is the Firmin Ford text line. Love to get your comments. Am I being too hard on these folks? Again, I don't like anyone to lose their job, but I do think that was Indian justice. The issue of homelessness is causing tensions between local officials in the state of Washington. The King County, Washington sheriff has directed her deputies to not enforce a City of Burien, Washington order, which they just recently passed, which outlaws homeless encampments within 500 feet of locations of schools, parks, until the constitutionality of the order is resolved, according to the sheriff. She did not tell city officials that she did not plan to enforce this law. I'll give you the rest of the details in just a moment. First, let me talk with you about Firmin Ford. I had a nice visit with Jim and Matthew Firmin in Lawrence at their dealership yesterday. What a great group they have down there. Jim and Matthew are just great people, but everybody at Firmin Ford, you're going to be greeted like you're part of the family because they're going to treat you like you're part of the family. If you need service, you don't have to wait weeks or months to get that service appointment. And by the way, it doesn't have to be a Ford, and you do not have had to purchase the vehicle to get your vehicle serviced at Firmin Ford. You're looking for a new vehicle? Maybe a good pre-owned vehicle that you can trust. All of this is attainable by taking the short trip to Lawrence and talking with my friends at Firmin Ford. You can find them online at firminford.com, firminford.com. Take a look at it and see their inventory. And boy, do they have a great inventory. As soon as I pulled up, it looked like they had more vehicles on the lot than I'd seen in a while. Jim Firmin confirmed that as we visited yesterday, things were tough during COVID for all car dealers. He says they have the best inventory that they've had since COVID. Pick out yours online at firminford.com. Go over and visit my friends Jim and Matthew Firmin. So Burien, Washington Mayor Kevin Schilling is examining the interlocal agreement between city and county sheriff's office. Schilling said that if he determines the agreement was broken, that he will consider establishing a city-run police department of his own. Burien City Council adopted a new ordinance on March the 4th, just last week, which prohibits people from sleeping overnight on public property from 7 p to 6 a the next day if a shelter, bed, or treatment facility is available. Camping on public property is also prohibited during daytime hours under the new law. So when the new ordinance was passed, the city said on its website that it was collaborating closely with the Kings County Sheriff's Office and service partners to ensure outreach and services were offered before the code is enforced. The city also said that the King County Sheriff's Office understands that the code cannot be enforced without first verifying that a shelter, bed, or treatment facility is available. King County Sheriff Patty Cole Tyndall, though, told her deputies to not enforce the ordinance. This, according to KTTH, citing concerns over the constitutionality of the new law. The station reported that Sheriff Cole Tyndall said, "We have strong concerns on whether the terms of this ordinance are constitutional based on the existing legal authority. I do not want any of you to find yourself in a situation where you're asked or expected to do something that could violate legally established rights." Sheriff Cole Tyndall did not reportedly make Burien City officials aware of her decision, including Mr. Schilling. The county executive and sheriff's office did not want to respond to local media inquiries. The sheriff was appointed by King County Executive Dow Constantine, a move granted by voters in 2021 rather than being publicly elected. Schilling told media, "This is the undemocratic situation that occurs when a higher government official gets to dictate what occurs in local governments. The city of Burien pays millions of dollars to the King County Sheriff's Office with the expectation they will enforce our city codes and laws to keep the community safe and publicly accessible for all." The mayor said Constantine and Cole Tyndall are prioritizing politics over public safety. The station reported that Constantine has not been supportive of Burien's moves to address homelessness because she does not support sweeps of rounding up homeless people in these areas. The 30-year-old mayor said that he was in high school when Constantine was elected in 2009, and for years problems have not been solved, he said. Instead, King County has the highest level of homelessness ever, the highest number of overdose deaths in the country, and continuously increasing taxes for programs that do not show results or solve problems, Schilling said. "I believe in government accountability and individual responsibility. This isn't a liberal or conservative problem. The issue of homelessness, drug addiction, mental health issues, and criminal activity cuts across traditional partisan divides." He added, "We need to ensure that we are prioritizing treatment over tents and public safety over politics so that we can get folks off the street and into shelters and services." KTTH local reporter said that the city council members passed the ordinance in a 5-2 vote as members saw the legislation as an emergency ordinance connected with health and public safety. Despite not enforcing the homeless encampment ordinance, Cole Tyndall told deputies to continue enforcing other criminal code violations. On the Firmin Ford text line, Pete writes, regarding the reparations, this is in reference to a story I talked with you about yesterday on episode 99. If you missed it, it's about New York trying to decide, the state of New York, the governor there, Kathy Hochul, trying to decide what direction to give her commission on reparations, who's going to be paid and how much. And they're already fighting over who should be paid, with some of the activist groups saying that it shouldn't be just people who can prove that they're direct descendants of slaves, but that everyone who's black should be paid, period. So Pete says, regarding reparations, how is this? The potential recipients have to prove their ancestors didn't own slaves or profit from the slave trade. People forget that blacks here also owned slaves at one time. Look up Anthony Johnson versus Robert Parker about John Kaser. Guess 1619 Project forgets about that since it happened in 1654. Paul writes, 320,000! Exclamation. Biden can rescue these immigrants, but was not willing to rescue Americans trapped in Afghanistan. Paul, you shouldn't be surprised at anything Joe Biden does these days, or whoever's calling the shots. Our text of encouragement today, actually it's not a text, it's a sort of a quick Bible study that was brought to my attention. It's out of a book called 1 Minute Devotions, Grace for Each Moment. The title, Growth Through Truth. And of course, we talk a lot about truth a lot here on Just the Truth. It's from Ephesians 4:15. Instead, speaking the truth in love, we will in all things grow up into him who is the head, that is Christ. It writes, if you ignore or undermine the necessity of growth in your spiritual life, it will not be long before you start to suffer on the stormy seas of disappointment and despair. There must be growth and development, or your spiritual life will flounder on the rocks. God makes resources available to us to assist us in our spiritual growth, such as fellowship with believers, Bible study, and good deeds, but we should guard against these aids becoming goals in themselves. These are simply the result of our relationship with God and can never be a substitute for our faith in him. There can only be spiritual growth if your main objective is to reflect the image of Christ more and more. This should be the heart's desire of every believing Christian disciple. The prayer today, my Lord, let your Holy Spirit take possession of me so that I will live for your glory alone. Amen. And by the way, got a message from Joel, our encourager. He says, before surrender, remember the reason why you started. I also wanted to say, I believe through the power of you and your listeners, prayers God has straightened my face, helped me walk better. This is due to God and the best podcast, Just the Truth with Joey Hudson. I wish you and your family continued success. God bless, and go Trump, make America great again. Yours truly. Joel, glad to hear that you're listening and glad that you're feeling better. 864-477-JOEY is the Firmin Ford text line. Your comments are welcome, as are your voice messages. So a high school senior in Indiana refused to remove his American flag from the back of his pickup truck after being told to do so by school officials. The story has now gone viral. I'll let you decide how you think this story ends. First, let me talk with you about your refrigerator, or maybe your dishwasher, or the washer and dryer. Discounted Appliance Warehouse. If you're tired of buying appliances from inexperienced sales staff with no appliance knowledge at all, I'm talking about those big box stores where you walk in and you ask a question about a refrigerator, and the only thing that person knows about appliances is that they're on aisle 39. Well, you're not going to get that type of treatment from Discounted Appliance Warehouse. They offer many options, brands, features, and it's hard to figure some of this out, isn't it? Appliances are expensive, and you can't afford to make a mistake. You're not going to when you shop with Discounted Appliance Warehouse. They have an A-plus Better Business Bureau rating, nearly perfect reviews on Google. The team at Discounted Appliance Warehouse, they have the knowledge that you need to make a confident purchase, one that you won't regret. Discounted Appliance Warehouse. It's worth a short drive to Pickens and online at dawpickens.com, dawpickens.com. The story is from East Central High School, and it's about senior Cameron Blasek. This is in Indiana. And he speaks out after he said that he was told to remove his American flag from his pickup truck. And you've seen that. You've seen how some of these kids, and not just kids, adults do, stick an American flag in the back of their truck, in the bed. Blasek said in an interview with WCPO that he was told by his counselor and vice principal to remove the American flag from his truck, and he refused to do so. Blasek said that he read through his high school handbook and determined that there was no rules preventing him from displaying a flag on his vehicle. Then the story went viral, and other students showed up at school with American flags on their vehicles soon after. Local WCPO reporter Andrew Rowan tells the story.
Wherever 17-year-old Cameron Blasek goes, so does Old Glory.
The flag itself represents this country, this beautiful country that we live in.
He fastened the flag to his truck this summer.
It's very strongly secured in there. I mean, you can't pull that out if you tried.
It abides by the U.S. flag code.
I got pulled aside by my counselor and vice principal, and they told me, hey, you got to remove the flag off the back of your truck. And I kind of looked at him, and I said, no. I said, it's not going to happen. I said, I can't.
Cameron held the line.
Read through East Central's 2023-2024 handbook, and the word flag wasn't even mentioned in the parking lot or driving section. The only section it's mentioned in is the flag twirling section.
Boy! The next day at school, others showed up with flags of their own.
There was a huge support group there that believed and stood for the same thing that I did, and I was kind of shocked by that.
That's when the principal sent a letter to parents Friday to, quote, address recent concerns and confusions, writing, I am pleased to inform you that we are allowing the display of the U.S. flag by students in the parking lot. Principal Black clarified to WCPO in an email that there has never been a complaint about the U.S. flag. One literally hangs above the parking lot, and that school administrators decided Friday they would, quote, prohibit other flags if they were determined to be offensive. A social media post about all this went viral.
I was pretty surprised by it, that it got so many views, and pretty much that it got the attention it did.
There are veterans in this family, and Cameron himself is considering serving.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of him. He stood his ground and stood up for what he believed in.
The American flag has been politicized in recent years. One poll shows 83% of Republicans have a very positive view of the American flag. That number drops to 49% for Democrats.
I think everybody gets offended over something that doesn't mean what everybody says it does. This flag represents our country and the people who died for it and fought for it, and I respect that with my whole heart.
Old Glory, sparking new debate. The letter from the school went out on Friday afternoon, and the social media post went viral over the weekend. Cameron says it'll be interesting to see what the discussion is like here come Monday. In Dearborn County, Andrew Rowan.
What a story, huh? A post about Blasek's story online hit 6 million total views on X alone, not counting some of the other social media sites. On Friday, the principal, Tom Black, sent a message to parents responding to it saying, I'm pleased to inform you that we're allowing the display of the U.S. flag by students in the parking lot. Well, that's big of you there, Principal Black. Black also said that that there's no high school staff member or administrator who stated or insinuated that the U.S. flag was offensive, nor has there ever been a complaint received about U.S. flags at the school. Black told Fox News in a statement that East Central High School has had a rule for several years that no flags are allowed on vehicles in our parking lot, but that it wasn't specific to the U.S. flag. Black wrote that he reminded students of the pre-existing rule, but after consultation with the superintendent, the school determined that it could allow the U.S. flag while still having the authority to restrict other flags that are deemed inappropriate for school. He said, I met with most of the students Friday, informed them that they would be allowed to display the U.S. flag, but they should be respectful and abide by the U.S. flag code. This was before the original social media post. The inaccurate narrative is that we changed our mind due to social media backlash. That is not true, as the timeline reveals, he said. We regret and are sorry for the confusion and are working diligently to clarify the issue with our community. Sure. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Appreciate you joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Find me on YouTube. Just search for Joey Hudson. Send a quick text, and I'll send you the link if you can't find me there. Also, if you haven't joined our mailing list, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails with the most up-to-date news. Thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me, because I know that you have choices. Appreciate you being part of the Just the Truth family. Hope you'll recommend us. Stop what you're doing right now, if you would. And as we wrap up today, for this edition, this episode, and by the way, we're celebrating today. This is episode 100. Episode 100 of Just the Truth. Thank you for being a part of this journey with me. So let's share it. Send it to 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of your friends right now before you forget. Can I ask you to do that for me? Send it to them. You can text it to them, email it to them, and ask them to join our community. And thank you for being here with me for episode 100. Keep those comments coming on the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. Keep your emails coming as well, joey@joeyhudson.com. We're back tomorrow. Until then, remember, folks, he's got this. God's still in control.